let's start because we're on a sort of, a truncated show. Bridesmaids, produced by Judd Apatow, written by and starring Kristen Wiig. Did we say Wiig or Wiig? Wiig.
Well, is it
double I? Yeah, double I, isn't it?
Well,
so,
double I it's a we,
Wiig.
Isn't it? When it's a game. So
okay.
So do we say Wiig?
Okay, I think when we reviewed Paul, that is what we said. I mean,
because just before you get to the nuts and bolts of it, I just want you to acknowledge the listenership of Ollie Ryder in Cheltenham.
Okay, go on.
If you could do that. It's his 22nd birthday today.
Right.
And what he wants for his birthday
is a correct pronunciation.
No, is a 5-minute total destruction of what he calls this odious, awful definition of flogging a dead horse of a film that robbed me of 2 hours on Wednesday. Crass toilet humour and the painfully unfunny drawing out of one joke is never funny, whether it be by men or women. That's what he wants. What's he going to get?
Okay, you're not going to get that, I'm afraid. Okay, so so the story is she is single. Her bakery business has gone down the pan. She has to walk past the abandoned bakery shop every day. Her best friend, with whom she's been a soulmate for ages and ages, then says to her, look, I'm going to get married. I want you to be maid of honour. What actually happens is that she discovers that there is a new best friend on the block who comes from a much higher social strata, is apparently in the perfect marriage, has loads and loads of staff and friends and and the two start clashing, as in who is the best friend, which one has been the best friend for longer, and who is going to give the best wedding present. Is a clip.
Helen's taking me to Paris.
What got you? I fooled you.
Oh,
Your face. It's just a little pre-wedding vacation, and while we're there, we're going to meet the designer of her dress and have a fitting.
You are taking me to Paris? Thank you so much.
Are you kidding me?
Annie?
No, Mom, Paris?
Annie, what are you doing?
I told you about Paris, Helen. I told you about this whole idea.
Annie, calm down.
Lillian, what are you gonna go? You're gonna go to Paris with Helen now? What are you guys gonna ride around on bikes with berets and baguettes in the basket of the front of your bikes? Oh, how romantic. What woman gives another woman a trip to Paris? Am I right? Lesbian. We're all thinking it, aren't we?
I'm not.
Okay? Yes, we're all thinking it, right?
Annie.
Lillian, this is not the you that I know. The you that I know would have walked in here and rolled your eyes and thought this was completely over the top, ridiculous, and stupid.
So we both thought exactly the same thing when she said
Taken.
It's the plot of Taken. Exactly, people running around with the baguettes and a thing and onions, going ee-haw, smoking gitan, and so here's the thing. Firstly, there's been an awful lot of stuff written about Bridesmaids. I mean, so much written about it because by the time it opened, and the fact that it's now opening, people have read so many articles about it. And essentially, the essence of the articles have been: is it Judd Apatow, making up for the fact that he's made a whole bunch of boysy movies, so now he's producing a girlsy movie? How is it stacked up against the success of The Hangover 2? Because, for example, Hangover 2, I think in America so far has taken something like $230 million, where this has taken $138 million, which actually, a more significant comparison would be with something like Bride Wars, which I think took just shy of 100 million, so did less well, or so that would be a better thing to compare. Or Sex and the City 2, because didn't Sex and the City 2 do something like 95 million in the US? So it is in many ways the anti-Brides Wars and the anti-Sex and the City 2. The question is not, girls versus boys. Can women be funny in the same way that men can be funny? Can they be as gross out comedy in the same way as men? In a way, that stuff has all been in the papers for such a long time. It doesn't matter. What matters is this: is it funny, and did I laugh? And the answer to both those questions is yes, it is funny, and I did laugh. Is it quite as funny as some people think? I didn't quite enjoy it as much as some audiences have seemed to. I mean, the audience that I saw it was interesting. We saw it in a press screening in the West End, and when we went in, sometimes what happens when you go to a press screening is if they're not quite certain about the movie, there's a lot of free drink, in advance. There's sweets, there's pizza, there's cake, there's food. There used to be a company who I won't name, an independent company. They've gone out of business now, so it doesn't make any difference. It was an independent video company called Medusa, and the rule with Medusa was terrible films, brilliant catering. And there was the whole general rule was, I mean, I saw films from Medusa that never got released. John Travolta movies in the period when his career was in the dumper, but the catering was great. You never got to review the movie, but the catering was really good. So as we were going into Bridesmaids, it was like, is it? And the last time that happened was Full Monty. I remember we were going to see the Full Monty, and they were giving out cans of Boddingtons when people were going, you thought this can't be good. They want you all to have had a drink. And then, of course, Full Monty turned out to be a very good film. Well, in the case of Bridesmaids, I went in with a sense of trepidation because of the Judd Apatow connection.
Were they handing out pizza and sherbet?
Well, there was sherbet. There was some concoction, and and I'm not making this up, it was like a glittery, lickable body spray. Or it was something I know, exactly. It was so bonkers that I actually had to say to Nigel Floyd, what is this? And he said, I don't know. And then somebody in front of us turned around and explained what it was.
And it's a glittery body spray?
No, it was like something that you put on, but it was. I think it was in some way edible. I don't quite.
Justine, I know you're into doing a bulletin, but does that ring any bells?
Doesn't ring any bells to me. It's not something I'm aware of.
The person sitting in front of us knew what it was and explained it to us, and then tweeted the next day that was the highlight of
who around five. Who might be around the building who would know about a lickable, glitter body spray?
I'll investigate it.
Check it out.
Me.
Peter Allen might know.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll ask.
I'm depressed that you don't. So anyway. I laughed, and I laughed a lot, and I easily passed the 6-laugh rule pretty early on. There are some things in it, because of where it comes from, because of the Judd Apatow back and the rest of it, there are things in it that, that email that you just read out about a single gag being dragged out. I mean, I'm less keen on extended gags about people soiling their underwear than apparently many people are. And I have seen many movies. I mean, funny enough, Sex and the City, or was it Sex and the City? His first Sex and the City has a long joke about incontinence, which just was the point at which I thought, that's it. That's the end of the thing. So there is a big toilet humour section in it that, wasn't as funny as the stuff around it, and I wearied of that joke long before anybody else did. But Kristen Wiig is very, very funny, and the reason that what she does work so well is that at the heart of the movie, people always write about bromance movies. They keep saying, "Oh well, the whole point is it's not about the men and the women. In the end, it's about the women. It's about the men." Well, in the case of this, it's not about the women and the men. In the end, it's about the women. It's about a central friendship between two women, both of whom hate the same things and have got the same sort of slightly, a cynical view of the world. And then one of them suddenly taking up with a new best friend, and the other one going, "Hang about a minute, I thought we all hated the same things together." As I think you heard from that clip, there is a sense of edginess, a sense of anger, a sense of awkwardness. There are also some very, very funny scenes. I mean, one of the things with her life is that she's having a relationship with this bloke played by the guy at Mad Men, who I think is uncredited, who's really creepy in a kind of really good-looking sports car creepy kind of way. And there's a brilliant line in which they're together, in bed, and he looks over to her and he says, and she says, "What?" He says, "I want to say something." And she says, "What?" And he says, "I really want you to leave, but I don't want to sound like it." And you just think, it's so, there are moments in it that are really edgy and nasty. There are other moments in it that are just out funny. There are some moments in it in which the gross out humour doesn't work, and I wasn't as impressed with it, but it's massively and infinitely funnier than things like Hangover 2, and it's not a gender issue. It simply comes down to, is it funny or not? And yes, and I laughed more at it than I have laughed at many comedies in a long time.